Archaludon is an incredibly interesting Pokemon. It's one of the newest Pokemon that came out of the Indigo Disc DLC, and it's the evolution of a previous Pokemon from Generation 8, Duraludon. And with its signature move, Electro Shot, it can take advantage of the rain as a 100% accurate 130 base power electric attack that also boosts your special attack by 1 stage. You can use this outside of rain to be fair, but it does take 2 turns to charge. But this means that Archaludon is an incredible partner for teams with Pokemon like Pelipper and Urshifu-Rapid. And today, we're going to show off one of those teams on the channel. If you enjoy and want to see more content like this, like and subscribe, and let me know what Pokemon you want to see me cover in the future. With that said though, let's start off with our Archaludon set, which is going to be an Assault Vest Tera Fire set. I figure this can help a lot with Pokemon like Ogerpon, Hearthflame in order to make sure that we are actually resisting its fire stabs, and with moves Electro Shot, Draco Meteor, Flash Cannon, and Snarl, we should be a pretty terrifying set. We're going to lean towards a more offensive route with the 196 hitting our special attack bump, with 252 going to our HP just for a more general investment, and then meanwhile the remaining 60 EVs are going to split with 52 on our special defense in order to give 4 to each of our physical defense and speed respectively still. Moving on, we have an Urshifu-Rapid-Strike, which is going to be our typical Mystic Water set. We're going to go with max speed because currently the format doesn't have an official ladder yet, and a lot of the time in the unranked ladder we're not going to see more traditional spreads, so I want to make sure that Urshifu can just outpace an opponent if need be. With the Mystic Water and Tera Water, we're going to deal some serious damage with Surging Strikes, especially with our Rain Setter in the later picks. And with Aqua Jet in close combat, these are going to be more niche options to click, since most times we're just going to use Surging Strikes. Detect is going to be our move of choice for protection here, as it's a little bit more reliable on Urshifu due to the fact that it gets around a lot of common Imprison Pokemon that would typically go with Imprison Protect as a means to stop you from getting form protection here. Moving on, we do have our Rain Setter and Pelipper, which is going to be a Focus Sash Pelipper leaning towards a little bit more of an offensive spread. Now, I'll be honest, I forget what my speed tier here was supposed to hit. I built this team about 4 weeks ago, and unfortunately, I just didn't take note of what the speed stat was for. But with our offense, we're going to be able to hit our special attack bump here, with the remaining bulk split among HP with 4 in each of our remaining defenses. With Hurricane and Weather Ball, we're going to get a nice strong dual stab combination, and with Tera Flying, we'll really be able to lean into a nice grass type counter for Pokemon like Urshifu-Rapid in later picks. With Wide Guard as well, this is going to be a great support piece overall for our team, as we didn't really need to click Tailwind due to our next Pokemon, Salamence, providing a very strong Scarf Tailwind option here. Now, Salamence popped up as a really good Tailwind option in Regulation E, and I think it'll still continue that role. With Tailwind, Hurricane, Draco Meteor, and Air Slash, this is going to be another really strong Tera Flying option with Intimidate as a nice Scarfer. Our speed is going to creep Jolly Urshifu-Rapid, with the remaining investment going into our bulk split across our HP and defenses. Up next, we do have a Tera Ghost Iron Bundle in order to avoid common Fake Out and priority users that might try and pick this off. With Icy Wind, Freeze Dry, Hydro Pump, and Protect, this proves to just be a really good offensive support for our team that can partner really well with Pokemon like Urshifu-Rapid-Strike and Archaludon. With our speed, we're going to create Booster Speed Roaring Moon, and our max special attack is going to help us deal a lot of damage. With the remaining investment, we're going to drop this into 132 special defense, as it's just the weaker defensive stat, and most physical Pokemon right now don't really just break Iron Bundle anyway. For our final pick, this is going to be a little bit more unorthodox, but I actually had a couple friends ask if I could run this Pokemon on the team, and it honestly is kind of cool. We're going to use Electabuzz, which with our speed investment under Tailwind, we'll be able to creep even Booster Speed Max Timid Iron Bundle, allowing us a really strong Electro Web option that can revenge off common speed control. Meanwhile, Electabuzz also has Follow Me, and with our current investment, Urshifu-Rapid needs a max roll to actually KO us with the Surging Strikes in the rain. And with our defensive Tera, we can help take this hit even more comfortably here. Overall, this also is a great way to static random contact Pokemon, going for moves like Fake Out and U-Turn, allowing us to have a nice means of just passive speed control through Electabuzz, even when it's not clicking Electro Web. The rental code is going to be on screen here, as well as with the paste in the description below. And with that said, let's get to the battles. Alright, and we're here with our Archaludon Showcase. Now, we do unfortunately have one more day of unranked battles, so I figured at least with that in mind, we may as well just try and lean into the fact that this is an unranked format and try and just show how good Archaludon is even against these restricted Pokemon, especially when our first one of the day happens to be a pretty lackluster option in Mewtwo. Now, conceptually, Mewtwo is still strong, and we will have to be careful of it, but I do think our Assault Vest Archaludon can definitely handle it, especially when the only check to this thing is Urshifu, which is most likely going to be single on this team, but it could be Rapid still. Regardless, though, I feel like my lead is pretty obvious. I think that I lead off with Iron Bundle. I feel like Iron Bundle just gets us a really good position turn 1 immediately against anything that leads here. And then I could probably go with something like probably Pelipper, or not Pelipper. I feel like Urshifu is a good lead here as a second option. Then we'll go with Pelipper and Archaludon. I could go with Electabuzz. I think it actually has some merit here, even just to trade with their Urshifu. But I do think at the same time, just trying to get Electro Shot off might not be bad for trying to beat through Urshifu without going for Draco Meteor. So I would prefer the rain going up here in general. Though I do need to be careful of their own Archaludon, as this does put me in a bit of a weird position, since I can now Electro Shot through my team, which is honestly a lot scarier against my whole matchup, versus I'm really only bringing the Pelipper so I can Electro Shot one of their Pokemon. Regardless though, we'll have to see what happens here. I feel pretty confident that our Archaludon can beat their team, especially with the Tera Fire, as it helps so much defensively against everything besides Urshifu. They're going to lead off with Ogerpon and the Archaludon here. This works out really well for us actually, as I can probably just lean very heavily into targeting the Ogerpon with my Iron Bundle, instead of going for something like Icy Wind, because there's not... well, actually, that's a lie. It's unranked ladder, so they might be running Jelly Ogerpon. I do kind of need to respect it. Definitely a little bit unfortunate, but it is what it is. We're going to go for the Icy Wind here, drop their speed, and then I'm going to go for a Surging Strikes here. The Surging Strikes, I think... I don't need Tera Water. I can honestly just deal a lot of damage to them anyway. Yeah, I feel like I just go for the Surging Strikes and just try and take out their Ogerpon as quickly as possible, as it is a little bit of a decent threat to our team. Their Archaludon can definitely get a really strong attack off here, but at the same time, whether they kill my Urshifu or they kill my Iron Bundle, either way, I'm kind of okay, because we've now killed their Ogerpon, which means that we're a lot less reliant on keeping our pre-Tera typing, since, well, actually, more so, we're actually a lot less reliant on going for Tera, I should say. Because now we can keep our pre-Tera typing, which is at least a little bit better for causing 50-50s against their Urshifu, especially if it's single strike, since I can just reveal a Tera only when that comes in versus now needing to reveal it on lead for the Ogerpon. They're going to proceed to go for the Electro Shot here. Now, if they're Power Herb, then that's going to pop. It does not look like they are, though, which is great, actually. That means I can go for an Icy Wind or a Freeze Dry this turn. They're going to go into Urshifu single, so my play is definitely to go for Icy Wind before I get close combated in the face. And then I can proceed to go for a close combat here right into the Archaludon. Now, I know they're going to have +2 defense by this point, but they should also be at half, so I feel like a super effective close combat will still take this out. They're literally at like probably 45% health. I can't imagine this wouldn't just KO here. If it doesn't, then good on them. Yeah, okay, perfect, we kill. Alright, so far not a great showcase for Archaludon, because we've already shown that it gets kind of pushed back into a corner, but that's because we're talking about our opponent's Archaludon and not my own. And really, I think it just goes to show this team isn't exactly like a one-track team. It does have a lot of other options here, such as the Bundle Shifu Core on the rain mode that we do have. And I think in general, Archaludon with Tera Fire can put up a really good threat, especially seeing as their last two are Moltres and Urshifu single. So this should help a lot with taking close combats, for example, which is going to be very great for us. We're going to go for Icy Wind here, and then I think that I'm going to go for a Surging Strikes into the Moltres. They could definitely Tera or cancel battle. Either way, we'll just have to be a little careful. I think they are going to probably go for Tera on that Moltres to try and proc Flame Body. No, they're going to actually go for Tera on Urshifu. Tera fighting. Okay, definitely interesting, but they're probably just trying to lean into killing my Urshifu, which is totally fair. However, we do still have Tera on our own Archaludon in the back, so this hit will be very much mitigated. We're going to get a nice Surging Strikes off into that Moltres. Obviously, 3 chances to burn is a little unfortunate, but I don't really need my Urshifu around anyway, and I'm kind of just keeping it at this point just because why bother switching? And switching just puts me at greater risk of losing my Archaludon, which was the mon I was trying to make work here. But again, not really the biggest concern. They're going to most likely just Brick Break into my Urshifu and just take that out. No, they're going for Focus Blast. Okay. The perk of Unranked Ladder, I guess, is the fact that you get to see beautiful gimmicks like this. So, to each their own. Our Iron Bundle is going to die. Unfortunately, my opponent will claim a kill, removing us from the 4-0 sweep. But it's fine. Archaludon goes hard. And Archaludon will be able to take this out very comfortably from this range. We've kind of set ourselves up for a position where we can't really lose. So I'm going to go for Tera Fire, and I'm going to go for Flash Cannon just to hit. And we are going to switch out here into Pelipper. I could technically go for like an Electro Shot here, you know, signature move and all that. But Flash Cannon just, I don't know, something about clicking Flash Cannon just feels right here. I want to save Electro Shot for when we actually need it, because that's going to be like the highlight game here. And I don't really want to waste the signature move animation just yet. I got to tease you guys who haven't seen it, because it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool. Though frankly, I'm sure most of you saw it from the trailer that revealed Archaludon, so I can't imagine that most of you will be surprised. But regardless, we're going to save it. We're going to save it as a little bit of a surprise, a little bit for the later portions of the video. The Archaludon, though, is going to go for a nice Flash Cannon. We are going to take out the Urshifu before it even gets an attack off. I switched out mostly because I didn't want my Urshifu to attack first, which worked out great because my opponent just DC'd on the turn that we killed the Urshifu single. So nice. We'll get into game number 2 now. Okay, so moving on to game number 2, we're actually taking on a pretty standard team. This seems like it's just Raging Bolt balance from what Raging Bolt, yeah, kind of like a Tailwind balance offense sort of thing. I don't know, bulky offense I think is the better way to put this, to be fair. But it's a nice team. It's a really standard team right now, and I think this actually matches up great into it. I think my lead is definitely going to be Iron Bundle and Salamence. Iron Bundle Salamence should match up pretty well. I could also just go with like, So I'm trying to think. I feel like that Salamence is a clear-cut choice on lead for sure. It should help a lot with the Urshifu matchup. I just don't know if Iron Bundle is the play next to it because I feel like that's really weak to Flutter Mane. I think instead that my partner might actually be Pelipper to try and block Dazzling Gleam and then instead try and take out not the Mischievous, the Flutter Mane. We're going to bring Archaludon in the back as it should be really good actually offensively here. The Draco plus Flash Cannon combination just goes hard, and they don't have a great switch into Electro Shot either besides Raging Bolt, which is of course a Dragon type. Not really going to be great to switch into Dragon type on another Dragon that's faster. For the final one here, I could honestly go with the Urshifu. I feel like Electabuzz also has some merit here, but I don't really want to go too support heavy, and I just don't think this is the matchup where I'm going to bring Electabuzz just yet. It's a much more niche option. So I think I'm going to go with Urshifu-Rapid. Again, not really huge on bundle this game. It can do some work, but I feel like this is a particular team where I'm just kind of throwing it in to lose to Raging Bolt instead, which I'm not really looking to do. So I'd rather just bring this core Pokemon that I think can put up a lot better pressure here. My Salamence, I think especially, will be a really good pick here, as next to the Pelipper, I can just start going for really good offensive moves when I think my opponent might anticipate a Tailwind option and then sacking the Salamence, and I think this should hopefully help a lot. They're actually going to lead off with Raging Bolt and Incineroar. Now that's a pretty interesting lead actually, as I think that regardless of what we do this turn, I can definitely take advantage of this and try and hopefully get some nice offense into my opponent's team. Now there's a very real chance that my opponent is going to go for Fake Out plus a Draco Meteor into my Salamence, or even like a Fake Out in Dragon Pulse or Fake Out in Calm Mind. I think that either way my play is to go for Draco into Raging Bolt, and then I think I'm going to actually go for a Weather Ball here into the Incineroar. I think is my best set of plays because if they do try and go for that Salamence trade, I can at least kill their Incineroar, which is going to be pretty huge. Or if they burn a Tera this early on in the match, that just makes playing around the Incineroar much easier for my later turns. Since if they go for something like a Tera Water, for example, then we can just go for Electro Shot. They did seem to actually go for the Fake Out into my Pelipper, which is very interesting, as they've now lost their Raging Bolt, which was a really good offensive piece that they just kind of threw out there. I think if they Fake Outed Salamence and tried to kill the Salamence first, they could have actually saved a lot of ground and put me in a much worse position, though it wasn't unwinnable for me. This definitely helps a lot, though, because my Pelipper is now in the field still, even if they do have Flutter Mane in the back, and I can just start blocking Dazzling Gleams and just going for a really strong win. They're going to go into Tornadus. Now this can definitely get off a lot of really interesting support here. I think my play is definitely going for a Wide Guard into a Draco Meteor, since we are locked into it. But I don't really think I need to switch out in all honesty. I could also just go for Weather Ball yet again into Incineroar. I don't think I actually need to click Wide Guard, since Torn going for Bleak Wind actually won't do a lot, and frankly losing these Pokemon might actually be better for us. They're going to go for Rain Dance. I'm not sure why they're going for Rain Dance. We did set that, but I guess it's just a casual ladder for you. Regardless though, this Draco Meteor does a lot. Oh, we get a crit. Okay. Crit's unfortunate, but to be fair, again, my goal is to sack Salamence to bring in Archaludon here. So I don't really know, like if anything, I feel like it just kind of hurts the Archaludon game. Because the goal was to bring in the Archaludon. If nothing else, we're showing why Salamence belongs on the team still. Because I do think it holds a lot of matchup merit in terms of beating things like Urshifu-Rapid-Strike that would pressure my Urshifu single. But like again, my goal was to let the Salamence die. So a little counterintuitive there. We are going to switch out though. I'm just going to bring in my Archaludon just so it touches the field this game so it doesn't seem like I'm clickbaiting. And then we're going to go for a Hurricane this turn into the Urshifu. Battle was canceled. Okay. You guys know I was switching an Archaludon, so it still came to the match. It still did something. It was going to switch in. It's all good. We'll see you guys in game number 3. And getting into our final game of the day, we're taking on a nice team that consists of beat up Whimsicott with Terrakion, Metagross, Walking Wake, Landorus Therian, and Cresselia. The Cresselia is a little bit clunky here, but I think it can definitely be a nice option since a lot of these Pokemon are on the bulkier side of things, as a really good means of Icy Wind plus Lunar Blessing, so I'm interested to see what that'll end up doing if it comes. I think for my team, I'm going to probably lean towards going with the Rain, but I think I'll bring it as a backline. I feel like there's a lot of merit in actually going with like an Iron Bundle lead with probably my Urshifu-Rapid, though Salamence also wouldn't be terrible. I'm just a little scared of the Metagross. I think that I will go with Urshifu-Rapid plus Iron Bundle here. We're going to bring Archaludon in the back, and then I think that the last one will be Pelipper. I'm not really huge on Electabuzz. Unfortunately, we just didn't get a game with it. I think conceptually it still does work on this team, though. And I'm curious to see if you guys will end up making it work. I just don't really think that we can bring it to a matchup. If we hit like 25 likes in this video, I'll try again to bring another Electabuzz sort of team, and we'll get it a feature on the channel at some point during Regulation F. Because I do think it has a lot of potential. It's a decent fake out. Well, it's a decent follow me user, I should say. Especially with the static ability. Wow, I cannot talk. I'm so sorry. My opponent is going to proceed to lead off with Whimsicott Terrakion. Okay, so they are going to go for the beat up strat. That's perfectly fine, actually. I'm going to proceed to go for an Icy Wind this turn, as it should slow down my opponent. And then I'm going to go for a Surging Strikes into Terrakion. Now, if they go for Tailwind, that's fine. Either way, though, my goal here is just to try and bully the Terrakion before we're going to actually pop off the beat-up strategy, as it is definitely a pretty scary way to use this Pokemon. So we are going to go for the Surging Strikes here, just murder that Terrakion before it can actually pull off anything against my team shenaniganry-wise. There's a good chance that they do kill my Iron Bundle this turn, and I'm kind of fine with that. I think this is still a very necessary play, because if they are Scarfed, then I need to make sure that I'm slowing it down before they're going to get off like a +4 attack into my Urshifu. So this Icy Wind plus Surging Strikes play should be really good. Also, if they're a Sash Whimsicott for whatever reason, which I know they're typically going Covert Cloak or Mental Herb, but Sash isn't a terrible item on Whimsicott in previous gens, so maybe they're going to go with that. And if they are Sash Whimsicott, this will especially be a nice way to Sash break it, because I'm definitely not going to comfortably do that with Urshifu, that's for sure. I'm curious if they're going to have like a defensive Tera such as Grass on that Terrakion, because if there's something like a Tera Grass or Tera Water, I might be kind of fucked here. They're going to proceed to Tera Terrakion into Tera Fairy. Tera Fairy is kind of fine, actually, because it's at least a neutral typing, and Terrakion's not bulky enough to where the Surging Strikes is still going to deal weak damage. No longer super effective, sure, but it's still going to be pretty nice. And we'll actually be able to get this attack off before Whimsicott even gets the beat up, which is kind of cool. They're going to go for Earthquake, so they are Scarfed. Definitely interesting for sure. Thankfully, though, the Surging Strikes will hurt. We are going to get the first one off. We're going to get the second one off. And then the third one should still be able to hopefully KO this. Perfect, okay. I was a little worried after the first roll, but when I saw the second roll, I figured it would still be fine. Now, I am kind of curious about what my opponent will proceed to go into for this turn. They might even go for a Giga Drain, which would be decent, or a Moonblast. But I feel like they're going to go for Beat Up. They're definitely going for Beat Up, right? Yeah, they went for Beat Up. That's why they go for Tera Fairy, okay. They could still actually pull this off, to be fair. Walking Wake plus Whimsicott is nothing to scoff at, and that could get off a serious attack into my team that I can't really do anything about. As really whatever Pokemon I target here, it should be pretty free for them. Though they're going to go for Iron Bundle most likely. So I do kind of just need to take that if they do proceed to go for this route. Landorus Therian also could maybe deal some damage. Go with Earthquake. I mean, it could definitely be an okay threat here. But I think that Walking Wake would probably be their best case here, especially... Ooh, Metagross. Okay, that's still fine too, actually. With the Tailwind up, this could actually still be kind of scary since I can't really go for an Icy Wind to that comfortably. Instead, I'm going to proceed to at least target Whimsicott here with a Freeze Dry and then go for a Surging Strikes. Though I don't really think it's going to matter. I also don't really want to Tera Urshifu because I feel like that, again, the Archaludon having that 50-50 will be kind of decent for the Walking Wake especially. As I think we can definitely get away with going for Tera and potentially taking that hit pretty well. Actually, I don't know if I really want to Tera that. There's still a lot of merit in other Terramons, I feel like, and I don't really want to commit Urshifu to it just yet, as even Tera Pelipper actually could be kind of cool, going for just Hurricane Spam with offensive Tera Flying. So again, I want to keep my options open. They're going to Psychic Fangs. Okay, that's fine. Again, I don't really think that this was a safe play going for Tera Water, since I think Metagross could have, with a more offensive item, even just KO'd there anyway. We're going to bring in Archaludon, though. They should be able to deal some really good damage here. They're going to bring in Walking Wake as their last Pokemon. Okay. So this is still fine. I'm going to go for a Freeze Dry right into that Walking Wake and just KO it immediately before it becomes a threat. Actually, I don't know if I could do that. Okay. Well, they didn't pop a Booster Energy, so we might outpace this. It kind of depends on the speed investment here, unfortunately. Either way, my play here is probably to go for... I feel like that Tera Fire might not be terrible still. However, I'm just going to go for the Draco Meteor here, and I'm just going to dual target. If we do kill the Metagross, well, if we do kill the Walking Wake, I should say, that's fine. If they go for Protect on Walking Wake, that's also fine. But I don't really think that I can afford to play around as if we're going to get the attack off. Thankfully, we do outpace with Iron Bundle. Again, I think it could have definitely been a really scary situation if we didn't, because Walking Wake could have comfortably outpaced. However, this should still be fine. I can actually just switch out Archaludon immediately. The defensive benefits of this, though, are still really nice, and Draco at least is decent damage. I can proceed to go into Pelipper, actually, at this point, get my boost for Electro Shot, and then just start Electro Shot spamming through, as we should comfortably start taking hits from this thing. We're going to proceed to do that, actually. I think that's our best play. So this Electro Shot is going to go off now, and Metagross doesn't really have a great way to beat this. Okay, perfect. So solid. We got a nice win. I won't act like that Archaludon exactly was, the most prolific mon in these games, but I think it definitely at least holds a decent place here. And I think at the very least, these games were positioned in a way where Archaludon was always going to be the thing that was winning us. So hopefully at least you guys can get something out of this. And if you enjoyed and want to see more content like this, of course, like and subscribe. I think the team is really good. And if you want to try it yourselves, rental code is going to be in the description as well as with the paste if you want to try it on Showdown. Thank you guys so much for enjoying the video though, and let me know what Pokemon you want to see next. Also, consider becoming channel members for just a couple dollars a month. We have some nice bonus content. Currently, our most recent videos were a tier list video on the restricted Pokemon for regulation whatever ends up being restricted, as well as a video on why Iron Boulder was actually the worst Pokemon from the DLC for the new Pokemon. Our current channel members, of course, are Zeke Zero, Mia, Raul Sakura, Obo, Johannes B, Endless Gadgets, Josh aka Ultra Player, Incog M, and Vincent Wee, who is a bigger fan. Thank you guys so much for your added support. I really appreciate it, and I will see you guys in tomorrow's video. Until then, peace out, guys.